starting this coming Monday, life for Thai people will return to normally. Basically, all the businesses and social activities which have been suspended for over 2 months now because of the pandemic will be allowed to resume. And more importantly, the curfew will be abolished. That means there will be no more restrictions on the hours you can spend outdoors. The current 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. curfew has been enforced since April the 3rd. The curfew was designed mainly to curtail nighttime activities that medical authorities were afraid would contribute to the spreading of COVID-19. Of course, you can certainly say that life will return to normal again on Monday unless you consider such places as pubs, nightclubs, and beer halls as being an essential part of your life. Because unfortunately, these venues will continue to be off limits. But the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, headed by Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, today decided to retain the state of emergency. Its rationale is that the draconian law is needed to ensure that the government has a legal tool to act swiftly and effectively in dealing with any emerging crisis. And besides the ending of the curfew, now let's take a look at businesses and social activities that will be allowed to resume on Monday.
So these are the list of businesses that are allowed to reopen during phase 4 of the lockdown easing in Thailand. So right now, meaning phase 4 that is coming up around next week, alcohol sales in restaurants, food shops, and hotels are allowed with the exception of pubs and bars, which will still be closed during phase 4. Convention centers, trade exhibition centers, as well as hotel functions can resume during phase 4. So it's a good opportunity for trade fairs as well as exhibitions to resume after it has been postponed due to COVID-19.
These are among the hardest hit sectors of the society, so good news for them.
Sure. There are other businesses that are due to reopen during phase 4, which is next week.
And good news for parents.
Definitely good news for parents and kids as well. So finally, kids can go back to school and meet their friends because nurseries as well as international schools and tutoring schools will reopen. So it's definitely a good time for kids to mingle and catch up after such a long lockdown.
But of course, all the essential health safety measures will need to be strictly maintained.
Definitely, planetariums and science centers are allowed to reopen during phase 4. Spas, steam baths, group activities in public parks can now resume in phase 4. As well as the spas and planetariums, outdoor and indoor sports activities, as well as golf courses, football stadiums can also reopen during phase 4. So that is definitely good news for sports lovers. But the only exception is that no spectators are allowed. So where's the fun here?
No, but it has become a standard practice the world over now that you have sports competition, major soccer matches, but no viewers.
Well, instead of viewers, we could put mannequins or like cardboard cutouts like we've seen in other countries. And also another good news for kids, children playgrounds as well as swimming pools can now reopen. And another good news is that game centers in department stores and shopping malls can also reopen as well. So that is definitely bring the fun back during phase 4.
So the government describes this whole package as 95% of the businesses and activities that will be allowed to resume. So that we are only 5% short of a normal life, which includes bars and nightclubs.
Bars, nightclubs,
beer
and
halls.
pubs. So if we reopen all of this, definitely everything will be back to normal in Bangkok.
And of course, as we all know, the tourist industry has been hardest hit by the pandemic. So reviving the business is something that's on the government's priority list. And the first thing we can expect to see happen is the so-called travel bubble, is a specific kind of travel arrangements between Thailand and countries or groups of countries which have shown good records in containing the pandemic. And the good news of the travel industry is that the idea was endorsed by the Center for COVID-19 today.
And the idea was initiated by the Tourism and Sports Ministry and tabled to the COVID-19 Center by the Health Minister Anutin Chanvirakul today. Anutin said the proposed travel bubble will see Thailand pair with countries or groups of countries that have successfully contained the virus. Travelers under this scheme, however, will still need to be subject to very strict screening and health control.
All right.
So that's definitely good news here, because with the travel bubble, it's a good opportunity to receive more tourists coming into the country, more of like an exchange between. So we've seen a couple of examples in other countries. For example, Australia and New Zealand have proposed a travel bubble between the two countries where the travelers don't need to go through the 14-day quarantine.
That's right. The Sports and Tourism Minister admitted that he was inspired by the arrangement between New Zealand and Australia that you just mentioned, and that he's trying to pursue the idea with potential partners in some countries that we believe that they have good record of containing the virus. So let's hope that this will happen soon, because the tourism industry certainly needs a jump start.
And it's definitely the real backbone for the Thai economy as well, because when we talk about the Thai economy, everything pretty much relies on tourism.
Yeah.